With the year coming to an end, Christmas over, and everyone nice and fat from all the food, we are dashing towards the new year. And with that, everyone is thinking about one event in wrestling. That is Wrestle Kingdom 13. Will it be like WrestleMania 13, or will it be a utter flop and an end to New Japan's dominance on the indie scene? Who knows? But I'm here with my good friend, Luna Corva.
Dashing to the ring for a chair shot to the head. Over you will go, unless Vince McMahon's brain dead. Hey everyone, how you doing?
I was actually making a New Year's Dash event joke, but good on you for singing.
Thanks.
Yes. So, yeah, we're going to be doing a prediction of Wrestle Kingdom 13. We'll take turns introducing the match and then make our predictions. The first match on the card, which is a pre-show match, which sadly I can't say is the Wrestle Kingdom Rumble because that thing is always fun and silly.
You mean the New Japan Rumble?
Yeah, I call it the Wrestle Kingdom Rumble because it's at Wrestle Kingdom, but New Japan Rumble also works.
I actually feel Wrestle Kingdom Rumble is better. It just has more of a ring to it.
Yes, it does. But anyway, this match is a gauntlet match to determine the number one contenders to the never open weight 6-man tag team championships. That is a mouthful. Now,
Kinda, yeah.
We've got the first team, the most violent players, Togi Makabe and Toru Yano. We're being coached by
Ryusuke Taguchi?
Yes, Ryusuke Taguchi. Taguchi Japan number 1. Versus Yuji Nagata, Jeff Cobb, and David Finlay. Now, some of you WWE fans who don't know who David Finlay is, he is the son of Fit Finlay.
And if I may interject, some of you Lucha Underground fans who don't know who Jeff Cobb is, he's the guy who played Matanza.
Yes. Next up, we've got Chaos, which is the members of Hiroki Goto. There's a lot of people with similar names in New Japan, because some of the names are like, oh, that's Mr. Smith. But
that's racist.
Yes, it is, slightly. But it's not just Goto. It is Trent Beretta and Chucky T, super best friends.
I was going to say collectively known as the Super Best Friends.
Next team is representing Suzuki-gun and Minoru Suzuki, Lance Archer, and Davey Boy Smith Jr. Yes, another son of a legend from WWE.
And someone who actually worked on WWE. And if you've only seen him from his WWE days, on WWE's, I remember when he was teaming with Tyson Kidd, he was kind of bland. He was kind of just this. He was a jag. He was just a guy.
He was Tyson Kidd's
tag team partner in the
bodyguard,
Hart Dynasty.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Japan has made him, honest to God, terrifying. I mean, nowhere near the level of Minoru Suzuki himself, but...
Oh, yeah. Suzuki, for fun, hits people with chairs.
I'd rather be hit from a chair shot by Mizuki than take any of his submission holds. But my point is, Davey Boy Smith and Lance Archer, the Killer Elite Squad, they live up to their name. They are brutal. They are vicious.
Lance Archer is a gentle giant.
How much have you had to drink this morning?
None. I've actually met the guy. I have been lucky enough to sit ringside at the Melbourne show that they did earlier this year. New Japan did, and I got to meet them, and he's actually really cool.
Well,
He did think I was still in. I would like to point out he did think I was still in school, but I can't blame him. I'm like half his size.
Well, I'm sure. Well, to be fair, I was only talking about the character, not the performer. I'm sure the performer, like most wrestlers, is a decent guy, but the character, genuine monster.
A guy who walks to the ring throwing water bottles at people. Well, not throwing
Basically,
the water out.
spitting water at people. Yeah.
Yeah. The next team is. That was close. Representing the elite.
The elite.
The
I was going to ask me,
elite.
go on 3 on that.
Elite. Whatever. Those people, by the way, are Hangman Page, Yujiro
Yujiro Takahashi?
Yes. And Marty Skrull. I wonder what he's doing on New Year's Day. And that's all your people. So this is where we get into deliberation, because a few of these teams have legit reason to win this to go on to face. I believe it's. Let me check who the champions are. The current champions are God and Ishimori. So they've got multiple options here when it comes to who will win. The Elite are an obvious option because we are going to eventually get Bullet Club versus the Elite. Suzuki-gun is a good option because it's probably the strongest team out of the people there. But also, you might want to position the new Bullet Club in a strong sense, so having them go up against, having them go up against Chaos and then beat Chaos later might be a good idea.
May I give my thoughts on what you've just said?
Go ahead.
Okay, so regarding the Elite, I'm going to be a bit contrarian here. Regarding the Elite versus the Bullet Club, I feel because of the specific members, I feel the war between the Elite and God is probably going to play out more with Young Bucks versus God as opposed to those 3 versus God. I feel Hangman and Marty are going to have more success, but I don't think they're going to be key players against God. With Suzuki-gun versus God, I don't think that's going to be the story they're going for either, because that would definitely be a heel versus heel story, and not the kind that would really work. See, my opinion in heel versus heel is it can go 2 ways. A good heel versus heel match goes either 2 ways. One is the King Kong versus Godzilla, the Freddy versus Jason variant, where both heels are so vicious, so badass, that the match ends up becoming enjoyable as a result. A great example of that would be the Wyatt family versus the Shield. Both of them were heels, but you could still enjoy the match because they were both cool heels. The other example, and a good example of this was Minoru Suzuki versus AJ Styles in the G1 Climax 24, where one heel is so brutal, so utterly viciously evil that it actually makes you want to cheer the other heel simply because, as bad as they are, you don't want to see them be mauled. And if they were going to do Suzuki-gun versus God, I think that would be the direction to go. Suzuki-gun is so evil, it actually kind of makes you sympathetic to God, but I don't think they're going to want to do that at this stage because they don't want people sympathetic to GOD right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because GOD is the one being pushed as, the prime heels. And I think if you're going to do that, you'd basically be setting up Suzuki Gun as, the true heels of the company. Which,
Now,
again, I don't think they're doing right now.
Now, there's a big thing here that's kind of telling from just looking at the card and looking at this match. There is no LIJ representation in this match.
And I think I was about to say I think I know why, but more it brings to mind a question that someone was asking a while back regarding this and the answer that I have, if I may share.
Go on.
Someone was noted that BCOGs have been going after pretty much every major faction except for LIJ, and they were wondering why. And my response to that was LIJ doesn't really have any power in New Japan. In terms of belts, like the Elite has all the belts. Chaos has basically been the dynasty controlling New Japan. The
It's like
Taguchi Japan, that's what I was looking for. They have a lot of the historical control and representation, and Suzuki Gun is basically is basically the wrestling yakuza.
mm,
The LIJ, they have the fan support, but nothing else besides that, kayfabe wise. And the BCOGs don't care about fan support, so they're kind of seeing LIJ as unimportant.
so. This is why I think whoever. Now, there's a reason I bring that up. Whoever wins this match is going to take that 6-man and never open weight belts from GOD. Because the never open weight 6-man tag belts are kind of like, they're the innocuous belt that kind of floats between groups. Sometimes it's used in larger overall things, but not always.
The never belts seem to often represent which faction is, it often seems to be like a microcosm of which faction is on top in New Japan at the time.
Which is kind of why I think taking it off GOD and the Bullet Club and then putting it on someone else just to have them later then have it taken by another group might be a good idea at the moment. So I'm going to pick so it has to be a team that you could theoretically see beating GOD and Ishimori, but also has to be beaten later. You know what? I'm gonna pick the most violent players. I'm gonna pick that solely based upon the fact that Toru Yano is a tricksy man.
Okay, I have kind of a theory. Toru Yano is actually in terms of raw talent on par with Okada. Because when he's not trying, he could beat you in just one sudden roll up. So if the guy actually got into shape and actually started trying, he'd be damn near unstoppable. But with all of that said, my prediction is actually the newcomers: Yuji Nagata, David Finlay, and Jeff Cobb. I feel, going with what you said, they could conceivably win the match, conceivably beat GOD, and also still be an experience to conceivably lose it back to them. And I kind of want to see David Finlay and Jeff Cobb get that push, even if it's temporary for now, because I like Jeff Cobb, I like David Finlay, and it does seem that New Japan is slowly trying to, give them a bit more.
And, Nagata's, how to put it, he's, he would be if JBL wasn't a dick and was still wrestling.
Hmm.
He will clothesline the fuck out of you and hurt you.
I
So,
believe he was intended to be New Japan's ace before Tanahashi came along.
mm,
Granted,
and,
he was the ace back in the dark days, which kind of mitigates that a bit, but ace is still ace.
yeah, the top guy in the company is still the top guy in the company.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next match is for the Never Openweight Championship. It is Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. All the 5 stars, all of them. I want this match now.
I totally that match, just in terms of pure enjoyment, is probably the match I'm looking forward to the most right now.
As far as pure high flying wrestling, this is the match I want to see. But I don't think it'll be match of the night. Now here's the thing. We've got 2 options here. Kota Ibushi won that belt just so we could have this match, or there's a reason why he's holding this belt. And,
you know what else? Sorry.
And I have a feeling that New Japan is better than that. Like WWE, I could see them doing that. Not New Japan.
Going with what I was saying before about the tier list and speaking specifically on Kota Ibushi, there's one possibility that if they put the Never belt on Kota, they're going to be building him up to the eventual, rematch for the title with Kenny Omega. Because what I've noticed about Kota Ibushi is, like I said before, Kenny Omega currently is on S tier, on par with a full power Okada. Kota Ibushi is normally only really an A tier. He's a little bit below the Tanahashi Naito level, but not by much. However, he seems to be sort of a bane for Kenny Omega. It seems like when Kenny Omega's involved, Kota almost seems to have almost like a power boost. Like he gets stronger when fighting Kenny Omega, because even though Kenny's on a higher tier, the only time Kenny Omega's actually been able to beat him has been when Kenny had someone else in the match. The only match I think Kenny Omega's ever won that had Kota Ibushi in it as an opponent was the recent 3-way, and Kota was effectively fighting both Kenny and Cody, so it wasn't exactly a clean, definitive victory.
So, I think we can both agree that Kota Ibushi is holding on to this belt for a little while longer, then dropping it to go after Omega.
Well, actually, while I said that was my theory, my prediction is actually going to be Will Ospreay to win. And it's for that reason I was touching on early, because I can see smart reasons for, Kota Ibushi winning, but I can also see smart reasons for Will Ospreay winning. Like, they want to give him the push. He's moving up to the heavyweight division. And more than that, I want Will Ospreay to win more. Because I like Kota Ibushi, but I'm really starting to like Will Ospreay. He's really turning a corner for me, so he's got my support in this match. I'm banking on Will Ospreay here.
Well, I'm going with Kota Ibushi.
Awesome.
So moving on to the next match, that is a 3-way tag team match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. The teams involved are Suzuki Goons. I love this name. Yoshinobu
Kanemaru.
Kanemaru, yeah. And El Desperado versus Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo, versus LIJ's Bushi and Shingo
Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, Takagi. ooh, this match. This match is going to be interesting, but at the end of the day, it is setting up LIJ versus Bullet Club.
Actually, I am. So you're predicting LIJ?
I'm predicting LIJ to win this. To start move towards the Bullet Club versus LIJ feud. Maybe having at like New Year's Dash or something a Bullet Club junior tag team being formed.
I can see that, but I'm actually going with Roppongi 3K on this. You know, we were talking before about long-term booking and how New Japan does that well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that 3K is a great example of that, and a great example of how to make a team look really strong without making them look overpowered, because coming into Wrestle Kingdom 12, Roppongi 3K was on the cusp of looking like they were too strong, like looking overpowered, pushed down our throats, because they'd won the titles on their debut. They'd won the junior tournament. You know, it was starting to seem like they were about to become the my new team is the bestest team ever, and they beat everybody, and they're so cool, like, half the stuff that WE does. But by having them lose to the Young Bucks at Wrestle Kingdom, and then later, even after getting the titles back, lose to the Suzuki Gun team and struggle to get it back throughout the year, it set the story that while this team is exceptionally talented, they've still got a lot to learn. They've still got growth to have. And I think they've been having that growth, getting the fans truly behind them. So I think now is the time to pull the trigger and have them win the titles at Wrestle Kingdom. And honestly, I want to see them win. I'm starting to like this team. So yeah, Roppongi 3K is my pick. Regarding what you said about the LIJ versus Bullet Club feud, I honestly think that is actually going to be initiated with Naito versus Jay White for the Intercontinental title. And I really do think that the story behind that feud is going to be kind of touching what I said before about Bullet Club overlooking LIJ, and like Naito. I think Naito is actually going to be calling Jay White out and being like, "Hey, don't you treat us like nobodies? Don't you look past us?"
So yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea. So moving on to the next match, it is Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the
Oh,
British Heavyweight Championship.
this was one of the hardest matches for me to actually decide who I'd be going for.
Really?
Oh
For
yeah.
me, it's the exact opposite. There is one winner, and his name is Zack Sabre Jr.
For me,
It's going to be a really great match, but like I foresee this being like Zack's moment to be crowned as the best British technical wrestler by beating an opponent who is much larger and much stronger than him.
see, for me, I'm looking at this on two levels. It really depends on what they do for the future, because both these guys are kind of lower card guys who have always been on the cusp of breaking out into, if not the main events scene, at least the intercontinental scene. On the one hand, having Zack Sabre Jr. go over here, it establishes more and more that he's basic. I've referred to him as Suzuki Gun's assassin. He's their prime hitman, the one they send in to take out the most dangerous targets. So giving him a strong win at Wrestle Kingdom would be great for that. At the same time, I am really starting to like Tomohiro Ishii, and I really want him to start, breaking out into the upper echelon. start fighting for the Intercontinental title or even the World title, because I really think he deserves it. And again, he's starting to really get fans behind him. So from that level, I want to see a push from Tomohiro Ishii. But then I have to wonder, if Tomohiro Ishii wins, does that mean that New Japan's going to be pushing Ishii, or does that just mean they stopped pushing Zack Sabre Jr.? But, I want to kind of be positive, and I decided, again, who do I ultimately like more? Who would I most likely be cheering for during the match? And with that in mind, I have to give the prediction. I have to give the over to Ishii.
So there is one reason. There is more than one reason why I picked Zack Sabre Jr. One of those is the fact that we haven't had a British champion since April 6th this year.
You mean a British heavyweight champion who's actually British?
Yes.
That's interesting.
It has been swapped between Ishii and Suzuki.
Which means if Sabre wins, we could be leading to the Sabre versus Suzuki match.
And also, this would make Zack Sabre Jr. the first time I'm three-time British heavyweight champion in Rev Pro history, which is kind of a big deal. And we've got to take this with a pinch of salt. Of this is technically Rev Pro booking.
True.
Hence why I've picked Zack Sabre. The next match is a three-way tag team match for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. It is God, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa versus LIJ's Sonata and Evil versus the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson.
Now, I honestly do think we can rule out LIJ here simply because who the two members are. Evil and Sonata, I really do think should be moving up into the singles competition, because again, going by tiering, Sonata is a definite A tier, and Evil is an A tier, bordering on an A plus.
So there's a reason why I'm disagreeing here with you. Sonata isn't moving up and to like the Intercontinental heavyweight thing until Naito has the heavyweight championship around his waist. Sonata can't move forward yet because Naito is still going for the Intercontinental Championship on the regular.
Thing is, though, first of all, LIJ, I feel they're kind of different from most teams. That LIJ, they could compete against each other for titles, beat the hell out of each other, and then go grab a beer later. They're that kind of team who just enjoys the fight so much and is, ironically, kind of secure in their egos around each other, that I could see them competing fiercely against each other for titles. But that aside, even if they don't go after Naito's Intercontinental Championship, there's still the US Championship, the Never title. Heck, I could honestly see them, because they have, competing for the world title. Evil faced Okada for the world title at King of Pro Wrestling.
I still disagree with you, so much to the point that I am actually picking LIJ.
I'm going to be... Once again, it's in terms of logic booking for me, it's kind of a tie between Young Bucks and God, and once again, I'm going to go for who I'd probably end up being likely to cheer for, so once again, I'm going for Young Bucks.
Okay, side reason for why I'm going with LIJ is because of the LIJ versus Bullet Club feud.
Yeah.
This is going to be I'll wait to explain this for later.
Okay, sure.
So,
So I feel that I do think an LIJ Bullet Club feud is coming, but I
yes.
don't think it's going to be for a while. I think for now the focus is going to be on
I, I,
on
I disagree because
Chaos and the Elite. And oh my, do you think it would be so cool? Like we've kind of been seeing like a Chaos and Taguchi Japan teaming up against the BCOGs, but would be so
so
cool. Sorry, just wanted
what
to.
what want me to explain why I'm going LIJ versus GOD this soon?
Yeah, but could I just say something first?
Yeah, go for it.
I know that New Japan's almost certainly not going to do this because they don't really tend to do this stuff, but I would love to see like BCOGs and like a revitalized Suzuki Gun becoming such a threat that LIJ, Chaos, The Elite, and Taguchi Japan all have to set aside their differences and work together to stop this, new monster heel faction. That would be so awesome for me.
A full New Japan Civil War where the whole roster is split down the middle. Yeah, that would be cool at some point, but that would probably be a if New Japan did that, that would be a whole like from Wrestle Kingdom to Wrestle Kingdom kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do that because that's not the kind of story that New Japan tells. I see that as pure fantasy booking on my part. Not going to happen,
So
and I'm not expecting it to actually happen, and I'm cool if they don't do that. But yeah, your idea.
so the reason why I'm saying Bullet Club and Lij are going to happen this soon, it's summer. It is summer for us, and it's heading into winter, early spring for Japan. Um, we are heading towards peak big wrestling time for or Japan, and what better way to start off New Japan's year uh, than
With
their
the
most
most
popular face faction with
versus their
Young
most hated
Boys.
heels. I like where you're going with that. I definitely see a logic there.
Also, it's nice to have a good strong foot for that first few months of the year, and also that means you can do really cool shows at the Ring of Honor New Japan's G1 Supercard at on WrestleMania weekend, because you got to have your best people fighting at that. And since the Young Bucks and Cody, and I believe also Kenny have confirmed they might not be at that show, that also gives me reason not to pick the Young Bucks at the moment for title contentions. Speaking of more title matches, is this next match is for the IWGP United States Championship. It is Cody versus Juice Robinson.
Juice wins. I'm picking
Juice
it.
wins.
Yep.
Like, this is his moment to win this belt, and like this is the feel good moment for the mid card area.
Plus, I'm sorry, Cody as a booker, I'm really starting to appreciate. Cody as a wrestler, he just
He's
doesn't
good.
interest me.
He is good as a wrestler. It's just how to put it. He's a good
If I
wrestler
may do a
surrounded
quick,
by great wrestlers.
if I may do a quick shout out to two guys I follow, John and Ashton on TwitWow this week in the world of wrestling. Ashton, sorry, has said on Discord that the problem he has with Cody is even though he's in New Japan and has more freedom, he's still putting on the exact same formulaic, basic WWE matches that Ashton, goes to New Japan to get away from. And
I
while I don't
think
quite
that's
echo the sentiment, I can definitely understand it, and I have never really been invested in a Cody match.
so.
I don't
As
hate them, but I've never been yes, yes, yes for them. Even when he's up against great wrestlers and ones I really like Juice Robinson or Omega or
so, there's something I need to explain about a Cody match. There are three different kinds of Cody matches. There's a Ring of Honor Cody match, which is slightly more stylized, is a lot different to a New Japan and Cody match. A New Japan Cody match is the reason he does them like a WWE match is because he's a heel, and New Japan fans who live in Japan don't like those matches. It gets him natural heat. And then there's these fun indie matches. And I'm gonna be honest, the Cody I've seen live is really fun to watch.
All right.
But at the end of the day, this is Juice Robinson's match. This is where he starts to become not a threat to the Intercontinental or Heavyweight, but this is where he starts winning the US Championship, holding it for a while, winning the Never Openweight title at some point for a while, and then maybe in a year or two, more likely a year and a half to 2 years, that's when he might get a Intercontinental Championship shot, and then keep getting them until he eventually wins it. But this is his chance. He's been waiting for this shot. He's finally getting it. He's not gonna let it slip through his hands.
I really do think he could break that ceiling.
It depends on who is around at that time. Because the card is flimsy. Speaking of the flimsy roster that might implode at any moment due to signings, Kushida versus Taiji Ishimori for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. This is going to be won by Ishimori.
Yeah, I remember what I was saying about Cody, who I just have zero interest in him. Kushida's kind of putting on that level to me where Kushida win doesn't do. Yeah, and Kushida win for me would be kind of just an eye roll to me rather than not even heat. Yeah.
Because the reason I say flimsy card is because it's heavily rumored that WWE want to sign him desperately, possibly to be a cornerstone of a NXT Japan.
Okay. If Kushida goes over there, I hope he does. I hope he goes on to either 205 or NXT because he'll do well there. And the second they look to sign you to the main roster, Kushida, get the hell out of there.
But like I said, he'd most likely be the cornerstone of a NXT Japan, similar to what they're doing over in the UK. He'd be their top guy, their big hire.
Sounds like a cool idea.
Like when they announce, hey, we're doing an NXT Japan, here's our first guy, and they just say it's Kushida, and that would get all the magazines and the TV shows over in Japan looking at that, because it's like he is kind of like for a very long time he has been the junior division of New Japan.
Yes. And that aside, even taking aside the stuff with Kushida, let's be fair here. Ever since his introduction, ever since I wasn't as high as other people, but I can't deny how much people loved it. The barn burner of a match he had with Hiromu Takahashi, and the fact that he somehow pulled off the impossible and made fucking Bone Soldier awesome. Taiji Ishimori has new breakout star tattooed on his rear.
Yeah, I have been watching him for quite a long time. I'm on TNA and other places, and when I heard he was when I saw him appear in the middle of the ring, I was like, oh, Bullet Club, you've made a good signing here.
Bullet Club, that's a good Bullet Club.
get more legitimate junior stars, because you kind of need it, especially with the Young Bucks being tag team only.
That's just my philosophy. Just wanted to put that out there.
Oh yeah, totally. Fact. Yeah. So we are both picking Taiji Ishimori.
Which I am kind of bothered by because, like I said, I want to be able to root for Kushida. I want to, cheer for the face and boo the heel, but Kushida just doesn't do anything for me, and I really do think that,
Well,
you know,
sometimes it's with predictions. Sometimes it's obvious who's going to win. This is
yeah.
like the last two matches have been obvious. Juice is going to win. Ishimori is going to win. The next match, on the other hand, is a bit iffy. It is a singles match. It is Kazuchika Okada, the leader of Chaos, versus Jay White, the leader of the Bullet Club.
My prediction is probably one that a lot of people are going to consider a strong one. But do you want to go first, or?
You know what? I'll go first.
Yep.
Now, over the past year, we've seen Okada be heralded as the new, 100%, he is the ace of New Japan at this point.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, he was so dominant. He surpassed the A+ tier and created a whole new tier, the God tier, the S tier, just because he was that OP.
Anyway, and then he lost to Kenny. And then he started losing to people I wasn't expecting over the summer. And now we're here. Now, there's part of me that wants to say it's going to be Jay White because Okada isn't as strong as he used to be. But there's also a part of me that wants to see Jay White lose. So Jay White has to become stronger. Because Jay White, I think, right now, shouldn't be beating Okada. Not at Wrestle Kingdom. Not yet, at least.
May I put my prediction here, or do you still want to say more?
I was just going to say, and this would lead to a certain extent, people questioning, is Jay White the leader of Bullet Club? Which this would eat Jay White up. This would make him want to prove himself more and more and more. But I'm not sure. So, what are your thoughts?
Like I said, I truly think this is going to come as a bold prediction to a lot of people, but I do stand by it. Not only do I predict Jay White winning this match, I predict him beating Okada clean. I'm sure he'll try to cheat at first, but I imagine that he'll try to cheat. Okada will basically be having none of it. He'll plow through all the cheating attempts in the early stage of the match, and that's going to force Jay White to actually have to try to out-wrestle Okada, because I feel that they're trying to push Jay White as the new big bad and Bullet Club as the new BCOG is the new top heel faction in New Japan. And for that to really work, I feel that there has to be a match to show that for Jay White to truly be taken seriously as a threat, he needs to have his Mick Foley moment. He needs to have that moment where he shows that, yes, he prefers to cheat because he prefers to take the easy way out, but when push comes to shove, when it's all on the line, he can actually get the job done. And I feel beating Okada clean at Wrestle Kingdom will be that moment. The moment you go, okay, Jay White isn't just a weasel, he's a legitimate threat. We have to take him we truly need to take him seriously now.
I'm still not sure if it is time to have Okada lose to Jay White. There's part of me that wants to say yes, Jay White is ready, but there's also part of me that's going, maybe not now, but maybe at the G1.
And the other point for me is the story you were telling about, being eaten up alive and having doubts in himself. I feel that's actually a better story for Okada than for Jay White.
I see. That's the thing. Why would Okada think that? He's the longest reigning IWGP champion. He's had the most title defenses out of any other champion. He's basically the ace at this point.
Until he lost to Omega, and then ever since then, it's kind of seemed like he's lost. Well, there's two ways to interpret it, and that's the fun thing about these characters in shows. Just there's a lot of depth to them. That some people think that he's, the whole balloons thing has, just been him having fun. He's just, relieved to not have the pressure of the title. Other people feel that he's broken. He's kind of lost himself. That loss to Omega really shook him.
From the commentary that I've listened to, that's not the way they've been portraying it. They've been portraying it as Okada is free of the belt. He's free of the burden of having to be the champion. So he's cutting loose a little bit more. He's not trying to be the best. He's trying to have fun again. And which you could say he might give enough for Jay White to win. But I think Jay White is going to get real close, and then Okada's just going to go, okay, I want to end this now, and just boom, Rainmaker, drop.
With the commentary, I hear you, but two counterpoints. One, with the commentary, I feel it's kind of a case of their guess is as good as ours, because while other commentaries, they're also in some ways characters themselves, especially guys like Rocky Romero, and a lot of it feels like they're trying to guess. They're guessing, because they're not completely neutral. Like Don Callis, he's a big, Omega mark and stuff like that. So when he says stuff like, Okada could never beat Omega, you're not intended to take that as, unbiased narration. It's just his opinion. So them saying that Okada's going to have fun, it could be merely what they think is the case rather than what's actually the case. I mean, it could also be actually the case, but with that, again, going to my theory, it's possible that losing claim to Jay White would be the catalyst of Okada really starting to doubt himself and wonder, am I, still the ace? Because I feel that Okada, despite his bravado, actually does have a lot of insecurities. That he's great he's great at being confident when he is the ace, but the second he starts to lose that, the second he starts to slow down on that, that's when all the insecurities creep back in and he starts to overcompensate or break down. He beat Tanahashi.
I agree with you, but I also think that it's too soon.
Yeah. While I am still sticking by my prediction, I totally see where you're coming from with your logic. So it's not like I feel you're wrong. I just feel that
we both agree that this is going to happen. We are just disagreeing on when.
Yeah.
So I'm picking Okada. You're picking Jay White. The next match is Chris Jericho versus Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
Naito wins.
Naito loses.
Oh, I'm interested in hearing this.
Nah, I'm joking.
Oh,
Naito wins. Now I can explain to you why I picked Sonata and Evil to win the tag championships. So, It's New Year's Dash. No, it's the end of New Year's Dash. Naito and LIJ's Sonata and Evil have just beaten another group. Maybe, you know what? Beretta, Chucky T, and Okada. They've just beaten that. Naito is doing a promo, and he's basically saying, "I'm the best. He's like, LIJ is the best faction. We've got all the belts." And then Jay White, God, all of Bullet Club just run out, beat them up, standing over them. Maybe have Bushi and Shingo run out, get dropped, and then you have God, you challenge for their rematch, and you have Jay White challenge Naito. That is why I picked Sonata and Evil to win the championships off God. That's why I have Naito winning here, because this is all going to lead up to the Bullet Club versus LIJ feud for the start of the year.
I kind of see where you're going with that, and you are starting. I'm not going to say you have just yet, but you are starting to make me reevaluate my opinion on LIJ on LIJ winning with the tag titles. So But regarding the Intercontinental thing, I honestly feel it's going to be Naito calling out Jay White.
I could see it being Evil. Like, me and you are both agreeing that Naito's winning, and then either Jay White calls Naito out. If Jay White lost, then that's like he's calling out Naito because he wants to prove that he's worthy to be in the heavyweight division and go after the top two titles. But if Jay White wins, it's the other way around, where he's like, I just beat Okada, I want a shot at the honestly, the reason why I would say he doesn't beat Okada and challenge Naito is because at that point I would have him challenge Omega because he just beat Okada.
Yeah.
Because at that point it from a wins-loss standpoint and story standpoint, it puts Omega and Jay White on the same level.
Well, not quite, because again, I feel even at Wrestle Kingdom. Well, again, I feel there's a difference between beating full power Okada, which Omega did, and beating this lessened, weaker form of Okada. I mean, it's still impressive, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite the same. Even then, I still see what you're going for. So actually, my prediction is going to be Jay White will try to challenge Omega again, and then Naito's going to come along and say, "Hey, Cabron, I still exist. Don't you dare ignore me."
Yeah, it's like, if you want to challenge him, you got to beat me first.
One last thing about the Jericho Naito thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was controversial, but I am actually glad they had Jericho win against Naito in Dominion, because I see what they're doing with Jericho. They're using him as kind of a measuring stick. They're using him to really give a big push to New Japan stars. And if Jericho lost twice in a row, that use for him would no longer really it would no longer really work, because he'd start to be perceived as a loser, just the guy you beat to look cool.
Yeah, the guy you beat before you go after a title, which
exactly
is fine to do, but you can't do it all the time.
Exactly.
And considering Jericho's level, he had to have won a championship. It was either going to be the US or the Intercontinental.
Yeah.
So, yes, the final match of the card, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Kenny Omega versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. This final match, Omega versus Tanahashi. The ace versus the cleaner. It's Omega all the way, because even with the approaching announcement of All Elite Wrestling, Omega is the top guy of New Japan. He's also the kind of person who's not gonna, even if he doesn't sign with New Japan, he isn't the kind of guy who I don't see him actually. Here's the thing. I can see him not signing with New Japan, but I can also see him signing with New Japan and for just like a 1-year deal, but in that deal he can work wherever he wants, whenever he wants, unless it's like, hey, we need you for this championship match.
Yeah.
I think he'll have a lot less tour dates. It's move into a semi-Jericho position where he shows up for important matches and such, but he does a lot less road to shows.
Yeah, there's a lot of that I want to talk on. I want to talk on when you're done.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm just pointing
All
out
right.
why I think he can retain and still be in All Elite.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you're saying, but there's also some more I want to add to that. First of all, another reason I think Omega not only should win but has to win is you don't give someone that, at this point, legendary victory over Okada, over the most OP wrestler in the company, just to have him drop the belt a few months later. That would be a waste of that storyline.
To the last person Okada beat for.
Yeah, it would feel like almost a step down and a step back. But also, I kind of want to defend Omega from some criticism, because I know there's a lot of people who have been bringing stuff up like, oh, he's lazy, he hasn't done much for New Japan. His match against Cody at the G1 special didn't sell out. He doesn't attend to the his body of work isn't that great because he doesn't attend to the house shows, the Road 2 shows. But
actually, he does do the Road 2 shows. He whenever he's involved in a New Japan show, he does all the tour dates for it, even to the detriment of his own health.
Well, in recent months, apparently he hasn't actually been on a lot of the Road 2 shows. And people both in fans of wrestling community who are kind of pure wrestling purists and also characters like Naito and Tanahashi been using that as criticism against him. But I mean, I want to take a step back and let's look at what. Okay, so he hasn't been doing the Road 2 tours. I'll grant you that. Let's look at what he has been doing. Okay, he competed in one of the biggest indie events in years, basically, arguably the biggest indie event ever. He has had a barn burner of a G1, having most of the best matches of the G1 featured Omega Subway.
With, I would like to point out, I believe, a broken foot.
Oh yeah, with a broken foot. He may not have been doing the Road 2 shows, but he's been having multiple matches but he's traveling the globe to have multiple matches overseas against guys like Pentagon Jr., Phoenix, both of whom are top stars in Lucha Underground, so I think that Kenny Omega might be a fan of that show. But that aside, that takes a lot of effort to be that takes a lot of you be traveling overseas and having big matches. He did the Street Fighter thing with the New Day, and I know a lot of people like to criticize it, like, oh, so while everyone's wrestling, he's playing video games. But the thing is, video games or not, it is still the New Japan, the IWGP champion, having a prominent moment with two household WWE names. You cannot deny three household WWE names. You cannot deny the level of promotion that gives the title and New Japan.
Omega has his character has always been, New Japan has to evolve. It has to become the best in the world.
Yeah. And also, guys, pump the brakes for a second because you're comparing Omega's run to Okada's when after Okada spent 2 years undefeated. Of course, Omega's not going to measure up to that. But then again, Okada wasn't exactly measuring up to Tanahashi when he finally beat him at that point. And if we actually compare them at the same time, like we compare, Okada won his title from Naito in Dominion, and Omega won his title from Okada in Dominion. So we compare Okada leading into Wrestle Kingdom 11 versus Omega leading into Wrestle Kingdom 13. All right, Okada. So both of them had strong wins against previous aces, though Okada was a few months earlier to his Dominion win. But Okada had a decent G1 and one strong defense against Naomichi Marufuji. Omega has had an even better G1 and 2 strong defenses against Tomohiro Ishii and the 3-way with Kota Ibushi and Cody.
I would also like to point out that from a technical standpoint, the people who Kenny has so far had to face, I would say, are more difficult opponents than Okada did at the start of his career. Well, not career, when he started.
At the start of his huge run, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we can both agree that Omega should win here. Yeah, but there's this nagging feeling that I have that Tanahashi may win. I don't want that to happen, but it's one of those feelings where you're like, it's in the back of your mind that, oh, they might do this.
And that's the same feeling, and I'm glad of that because that's the same feeling I had with Omega versus Jericho, that, I really don't want Jericho to win, but they may do that. They may pull a WWE and have, the old veteran come in and win just to do what they think will make the fans happy.
Which is what people were interested in seeing. Here's the thing, back when Suzuki was returning to New Japan, people actually did want him to just come back, beat up Okada, and take the belt. That was one of the few times the fans were like, yeah, we could see that happening and we wouldn't be mad at that. Because here's the difference. There's a difference between being disappointed your guy lost and being mad that a person won.
Yeah. Well, you should be. Well, here's the thing. You should be mad at that a person won in character. Great line from Linkara is, in a good story, we're angry at the villain. In a bad story, we're angry at the writer.
Yeah, that's basically what we're saying here. Yeah, we are both in agreement that Okada wins. Not Okada.
Omega.
I'm so used to saying Okada. It's not like I've been saying it for 2 years.
John from TwitWow, he made a great point that Okada had. What he said was Okada has held the IWGP belt. This was before he lost. This was actually at the Dominion show. Okada has held the IWGP belt for so long, I'm honestly starting to get it. I've honestly been getting it confused with his ring attire.
Yes. So, we both agree that Omega wins?
Definitely, but I'm glad that there's nagging sense of doubt because that's going to make the match all the more tense and exciting.
That's the difference between a good match and a great match. A good match is just technically sound. A great match is technically sound, and you have some worry about who's going to win.
Yep, when I'm judging a match, there are 4 criteria I judge it on. Technique, which is, how cool, the moves, how cool they are, and if it's a hardcore match, Yeah, and if it's a hardcore match, it'll be stuff like, if it's a hardcore match, I can substitute, cool and brutal spots like Mick Foley going off the cage in the technique category. Tempo, which is the pacing of the match and also the in-ring storytelling. Tension, which is what we were saying about, whether whether if it can be a real nail biter and have you on the edge of the seat, that's a great match. And Tail, which is, the story building up to the match. If you can get high rankings in all those categories, you've got something.
Yes. Well, we will see you guys for the second part of our best and worst video. This will most likely be coming out before it, because it hasn't even been recorded yet. But after this, you might be seeing me and Lunacorva and maybe a few other people showing up in this more independent setting, where, who knows, we might talk about All Elite Wrestling's next show. We might talk about New Year's Dash and where we think things are going to go. Who knows what may come?
Well, actually, I was gonna ask you, Kay. Do you want to watch? Sorry, do you want to watch when it comes out? Do you want to watch Wrestle Kingdom live with me?
Possibly. Depends on what I'm doing at that time and such. But anyway, we will see you guys later.